gonna be for today is gonna be Miss Victoria Finch, and I would like to make a small introduction to her and just to share with you her amazingness, what she does, how she did, and then I want to invite her to be on the stage and share with us our I will say her wisdom with us, and to make sure that we're gonna hear more about what has to be done with everything that it's regarding to the VA or virtual assistant. And this being said, allow me to introduce Miss Victoria with a proper introduction, and from there we're gonna take her off for the next one. I just have like a very um, distributed attention right now, so I do apologize if you see me all over the place. But yes, I have questions inside of the live streaming, and I'm trying to make sure I'm gonna be efficient with everything, and it's a little bit distracting. But uh, don't mind me. I'm gonna be uh, just going straight to the point, and here we go. So Miss Victoria Finch, she's an author, she is a speaker, she is an amazing entrepreneur and an amazing human being overall. And I want to make sure that you understand this, that Miss Victoria Finch is not the first time, is here to the Growth Mastermind Group, and she been here always, like every single time that she's on, she's always bringing value. And I want to make sure that you understand that here you're going to be for a treat. You're going to be here for a even more important, like something to make you think, to make you understand about what it takes you to become like Victoria. And one important part, that her Instagram handle, it is just ask Victoria. Her email is just ask Victoria. In other words, if you have something in a business that you might need, just ask Victoria. And Victoria Finch, the heart healer, it's a award-winning speaker. Before anything else, she's also an international best-selling author, a success strategist. She's also a the owner of Avalon Virtual Assistant LLC. She's a master at transforming and empowering others through her storytelling, books, speaking, workshops. She's certified hypnotherapist, master practitioner of emotional freedom techniques, international board coaches of practitioners at the Complementary Therapists Accredited Association. And she's a certified cognitive behavior and life coach practitioner. Victoria has been in dark places in her life, and she grew up in a loving home. She never felt love or wanted. She carried the feeling to her life, even through she excelled in her study and won awards. She never felt good enough. So she went to this quest of self-acceptance and cracking the code of self-love, self-forgiveness. And her signature coach program is basically based on this life experience of this life, I will say, pass through that she went through. So everything that happened with her, create this heart-centered coaching that she's giving through her speeches, to her seminars, to everything that she does, including her books. And Victoria know her purpose on this earth, that is to heal hearts in the world, and one heart at a time. And this being said, I would like to invite on the stage Miss Victoria Finch to talk about her part of virtual assistant and how she learned not only about her love and her self-acceptance, but she also learned the business. And today she's going to talk about the business side. And here we go, Victoria Finch.
Hello, hello, everyone. I hope that you've had a wonderful time at the Growth Mastermind Summit. I'm so glad to be here. And Christian, I just love Christian. And of course, Peter, you guys are fantastic. So I'm sure there's been a lot of knowledge that has been dropped here. I'm going to, Peter, is it possible I can share my screen?
Absolutely. I'm going to do it right now.
I'm sorry, I can share?
Give me
Fantastic. Okay, I'm going to share my screen here.
Okay.
I've got some things to talk to you about using Teams, how it can give you the path to success. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about who I am. I am Victoria Finch. They call me the Heart Healer. I am a business and life strategist. I help you have more income and more impact in life and in business. I am the owner of Victoria Finch International. I'm also the owner of Magnify Your Magnificence. We do growth conference like this. I also have a 100,000K coaching program to help you create your first package. And as stated, I am owner of Avalon Virtual Assistant, and I have a YouTube channel, Motivation Highway. I'm very busy. Right now, we're going to be working on affiliate programs, lots going on, but it all comes down to my mission, my vision for everyone, and that is to heal the hearts of the world one heart at a time, whether it's the heart of your business, whether it's the heart that's inside of you. That is my goal. It all starts with the heart. It all happened one time in 2017. I'm sitting on the side of the bed, not caring if I woke up the next morning. I could hear my children's laughter in the hallway, but it did not matter to me at all. For me, I thought, what's the use? Nobody would miss me. I had a bottle of antidepressants with me, got ready to take those, and I heard a voice plain as day, like they were sitting beside me. I called the voice of God. It could be the divine, whatever you call that higher being in your life. For me, it's God. And the voice said to me, I made you on purpose for a purpose, and this is not it. I knew I had to get up. I knew I had to make some changes, and I knew I had a heart issue. That's how I became the heart healer. That is why I know that if I can heal the world one heart at a time, one business heart at a time, I will reach the masses, because it really starts with the one. When it comes to hiring teams, I'm a little, I don't know what's going on here. Let me see if I can go back here. Sorry. I'm going to stop sharing for just a second because I don't know what happened. So I can get my PowerPoint where it's supposed to be. So please forgive me for that. Let me see if I can't get it to go backwards. It's not going backwards. Let's see. Okay, we're going to try this again. I will share again. Here we go. Okay, we're going to talk about teams, the path to success. One of the most important things in any organization is having that value statement, that mission, that vision that's going to drive the organization. When you're working with teams, everyone that's in your team needs to buy into that mission and value, whether it's someone who's physically in your office or whether it's someone that's virtual teammate. They all have to buy into it. Habakkuk 2:2 says, write the vision and make it plain upon the clay tablets so that those who read it can run with it. When you have a vision, when you have a mission for your organization, then the team members are able to spread that vision and that mission as they go about their working day, as they go about their lives, because they can buy into it. Now they're going to really want to stay with that with you on the long term. What's a vision and mission statement? What's different? Well, your me move this out of the way. Your vision statement should inspire people to dream. It is where the organization aspires to go. Whereas your mission statement defines what the organization does and includes tangible goals to accomplish the organization. So when I'm looking at, whenever I'm starting a new company and I'm looking at the vision, I'm looking, what do I want to do in the grand and the big dream? What is our big goal? Is it to empower millions? Is it to inspire companies, organization? What is that big global outside of all of us mission, vision? When it comes to a mission statement, it's more of how are we going to get that there? How are we going to make that vision every single day come true? How do we get closer to it? What are the goals and the activities that we need to do to get there? I'm going to give you some examples. Life is Good says their vision statement is, I'm sorry, this should be vision and mission statement, says to spread the power of optimism. LinkedIn, connect the world's professionals to make them more productive and successful. IKEA, to create a better everyday life for the many people. Do you see how broad that is? How that really, when I say broad, they're looking at the world, they're looking at people everywhere, and they're really wanting to spread their organizational goals, missions, and vision. For Avalon Virtual Assistant, ours is to grow economies worldwide by providing top talent to impact-driven organizations. We truly believe that when you can support entrepreneurs in an elite fashion, then they will start to hire, they will start to buy things, they will start to upgrade, thus affecting their economies. Have any questions, or if you need me to slow down, let me know. I do work on 2 screens, so I might be looking over. I cannot see the chat. Peter, I'm going to have to ask you to monitor that for me. So if someone has a question for me, please let me know.
Yes, madam.
What I'm going to talk to you today about is not only about virtual assistants, but as far as hiring in general.
Victoria, would you like to answer questions as we go, or would you like at the end?
I would, if I could get them at the end, that would be great.
Okay, then we're gonna leave it for the end, okay?
Okay, fantastic. If you are, can you let me know in the chat, do you own a business? Are you a speaker? Are you a coach? Are you an entrepreneur? All 3? Let me know in the chat who I'm speaking to. Go ahead and put it in there. How do you see yourself? A business, an entrepreneur? What do you see yourself as? If you're entrepreneur, speak, business, you're all part of a business, either way you look at it. What do we have there, Peter?
We have business, owner, entrepreneurs, financial planning, coach.
Fantastic. You are in the right place. I'm going to help you hire, help you consider expanding. You are one person.
Oops.
You can only do so much. Most owners will bottleneck their company. So let's talk about, how do we hire people? First of all, we already talked about the company identity. What is going to be the culture? How do you want the company to feel? What do you want it to look like? For instance, when you go into an attorney's office, they want it to look professional, right? They want you to know that they are attorneys and they can represent you. So you have this beautiful office. You have a receptionist to greet you typically. Now, this is all online, right? Now, but there's an image that attorneys have. They're going to be probably in a jacket. They're probably going to have a suit. So what is your image that you want? We already talked about the importance of a vision and mission statement. Also, it's important, and we'll get further into this, to create standard operating procedures when it comes to hiring. Hope you got your pens and papers. You want to have an onboarding process for your team. You want to have an offboarding process for your team. You want to have an onboarding process for your clients. You want to have an offboarding process for your clients. You want to have this in writing so you don't miss any steps. So people don't come back to you and said, I thought this and you said that. When it's written in a standard operating procedures, you know you're following the same steps with each and every person. Then you don't miss things and you can clarify it. You also, when you're hiring, you want to look for candidates. It's always best to hire with the inside, people who are already working for you. The reason why you want to hire them because it gives the others who are working, they know that, hey, I can go somewhere with this company. This isn't a dead-end job. Even if you're a solopreneur, with one team member, you can still ask for referrals from that team member. You can show that team member your bigger picture. For instance, at Avalon Virtual Assistant, I started with one VA, just one VA. It was she and I when we first started the company. I now have a team member. Now this is for Avalon, not counting my clients. We have 6 team members now. She has moved to social media director. But when we first started, it was just her. I let her know, hey, we're going someplace. You can ride this ride with me. And now she's a director of social media. I hired another virtual assistant just to be my assistant, just my personal assistant. Now she is operations manager. Do you see where I'm going with this? Don't be short-sighted because you only have one person. Everything you do as an organization should be built on growth. Where can I grow? How can we grow? Limit the number of applicants. When you're looking for someone, you really want to be specific. Sometimes people don't listen. For instance, at Avalon, because we are an elite virtual assistant company, our virtual assistants have to have 2 years of experience or transferable experience. They have to be trained in social media management, graphic design. That's what they're trained in. That's going to weed out a lot of people that just want to try to be a VA. That's going to weed out a lot of people that don't have the experience, that don't know how to work with C-level executives. Now, having said that, we still get thousands of applications. We probably take out of every 100 applications, we might take, I'm going to say 1.5. I know there's not a half a person, but that's kind of our ratio because we're extremely picky. You also want to make sure you keep your candidates informed. When someone applies for your organization, it's just being a decent human being to send them something and say, we are either considering other applicants, or you're going to send them something that says, come on in for an interview, right? You always want to, and you want to do this within 24 to 48 hours. You don't want people hanging, wondering what's happening with their application. Now, once you get this team member on, sometimes they're not trying to stay with you. And now there are signs that you can look for when someone is not quite doing their job. Sometimes it's a feeling that you have, but I'm going to give you some things to look out for. I do want to know, Peter, does anyone have any questions on what I've discussed so far for that segment?
Yes, we do.
What are they?
Okay, I'm gonna read it now out loud to you. Just let me go back. So we had how is the mission different from your vision?
The vision from the mission? Your vision is your large goal. Like, I want to help people around the world. David Metzer said he wants to help a million people. I think he said 1,000 people, help 1,000 people. That is your bigger vision. What do you want your company to do? For instance, let's say you want to provide water to third world countries. Your mission might be to provide 100 wells in a third world nation. That might be your mission. Your vision is to provide clean sanitation to countries around the world to avoid waterborne illnesses. Do you see how much bigger that got? We went from 100 wells to that bigger, wider. So that's the difference between your mission and your vision. Anything else on there, Peter?
Checking right now. Let's see here. No, that's going to be all. But I do
Okay.
I do have a question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You know, like when we talking about hiring or working with people, how do you know when it's going to be the time that is for us to hire?
I'm going to, yes, I will get to that part too as we start talking about hiring a virtual assistant, because that's really important. We're going to get to that. Once you do get someone hired, again, they don't all, you know, people come and people are just, they just have lives. We don't know why people do what they do. But these are some tips. They start not to focus. They start not to show up. They come in late. They might they start making excuses. They stop taking responsibility for the things that they do. You can tell that they're distracted when they're working. And, you know, their interaction with the customers might be a little different. So these are some key indicators that you can know when someone is ready to turn over, someone is ready to leave the organization. We just had a virtual assistant that was just that. I'm not sure she was ready to leave, but we ended up telling her, sending her on her way, because we noticed she wasn't, when we were in meetings, she wasn't as active, she wasn't as involved. We also noticed that when we're looking at, we track screenshots, by the way. When we're looking at her numbers weren't where they were supposed to be. And then she didn't show up, but she gave us some excuse that we just knew was not the truth. In fact, we found out it wasn't the truth. So we had already had an inkling that something was going on with her. And so we ended up letting her go. That's one thing, you cannot be afraid to let them go. Your organization, this is why your mission is so important, is more important than the one. If the one is bringing the organization down, you have got to let them go. It's okay. This is your permission to do so. Okay? So why do people leave? A lot of times people leave because they don't feel valued. They don't feel valued. They feel managed. The corporate environment isn't good, and so that causes conflict within the staff. Once again, that vision's coming up. Work-life balance. Are you working them, expecting them to stay overtime? I know at Avalon, and we tell our clients, we do not require our virtual assistants to work Saturday and Sunday. We do not require that. However, during the interviewing process, we will ask a virtual assistant, are you open to working weekends? Because at the end of the day, we have clients to serve. So we need to find people who are open to it. But that doesn't mean we're going to require them to do it. Micromanaging will get rid of someone quicker than anything else. I can tell you that for a fact. We had a client, we have virtual offices, and the clients are able to come into their virtual office, which is a Zoom room, can come in there anytime they want. Their virtual assistant is available for them. So there is no sending an email because you're on a different time zone and waiting for a response. You can be in with your virtual assistant, but she was micromanaging the virtual assistant to where the virtual assistant was so afraid to make the slightest mistake, because we're human, that she couldn't work. She couldn't work. Some things happened. We actually ended up telling the client that we weren't a good fit, and we released the client from her contract. And as it turned out, the client begged to come back, and we let her back, but we had to set some ground rules on how to delegate. We're going to talk about how to delegate, how to manage, when do you know you need a virtual assistant, and when you can move forward. Retention strategies. Again, you want to make sure that you empower the people you work with. You want to give them perks. For instance, my virtual assistants very often will work off the clock. I tell them they are not allowed to do that. I do believe people should be paid for the work that they do, but they are dedicated and they want to do a good job. So what do? I give them, we have something called Friday Dance. So on a Friday, when we've had a tough week, we put on a YouTube video and we literally dance and move, and they get off 2 to 3 hours early and they get paid for that time. They love it. That makes them feel valued. Also, a lot of thank you. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for what you did. Even if it's their job, we never say it's your job, you need to do it. We promote teamwork. If there's a conflict, they can come to me, they can come to HR, they can come to someone that will listen to them and will hear them, and then you're able to solve whatever conflict there might be. This whole culture of open communication is important because you want your team to come to you and not to complain to one another. And the only way to do that is to be open, to be honest, and to let them know that, yes, you can come here if you have an issue. We do have a, I hate to use the word chain of command. I don't like that, but that's the industry, where you have other you can go to. You could go to your project manager. You could go to HR, and then my personal assistant, and then you can come to me. If it's really bad and you need to see me, I will talk to a virtual assistant myself to try to resolve whatever is going on. When you hire a good team, you don't even have to worry about that. Your team will handle most of that for you. Training. Everyone wants to feel like they are advancing in life. Whether it's things you find on the internet, whether it's we actually have a training program, but whatever it is, they want to be, give them the opportunity to learn, because when you learn, you grow. That also helps them see a bigger picture in your organization that, yeah, we're small, but we can grow to this and we can have that, because now they feel like they are more part of the team. Peter, did we have another question or anything? Okay, we'll just keep going. Celebrate, anniversaries and birthdays. Every anniversary, every birthday, we do a post across all of our social media platforms, even my personal platform, congratulating, wishing them a happy birthday. We do other things. When we know that a child is having a birthday, that's part of the team, a team member's child's having a birthday, we all wish their child a very happy birthday. We're very hands-on, very involved in the team. Now, don't confuse that friendliness with not getting business done, right? There's a line there. It's okay to say, hey, we're part of this team, we have open communication, but we have expectations. You must meet the expectations. Anytime you don't, then we need to have a conversation about that. Peter, you're unmiked. Did you need to say something?
Yes, I was trying to tell you that we do have a question in this. What's your opinion on virtual assistant from the third world country versus the USA and Europe? And it's actually, there is a chain of questions. And I'm gonna let you to answer this one, and then I'm gonna go to the next one.
Okay, as we get into the virtual assistant part of the conversation, I will be answering that. Different places you can get a virtual assistant. When you're hiring virtual assistants, say from the Philippines or from Malaysia or India, very often you can get virtual assistants that are very well experienced, college degrees, for a lot less hourly rate than you can if you're looking on the United States side or Australia or UK or most any of the developing countries. Your virtual assistant is going to cost you a lot more. Whereas I'll just go ahead and answer it now. Whereas if you're looking like those countries that I mentioned, you can get the same caliber for a lot less money per hour.
Okay. I hope that answered the question. And we have the next question. It is, from your experience, are just as good as even a highly specialized task, and can they run an organization using, can you run an organization using a remote team in a third world country?
Yes, we're going to talk about virtual assistants specifically, and I should answer that question. If I don't, we'll come back to it.
Okay, perfect.
So it sounds like most of the questions are regarding virtual assistants, right?
Yeah, and the last one, it is like, are any guidelines from sourcing a talent, like where to kind of like get this talent inside? What if you're gonna use a site like Fiverr, Upwork, or anything like that when you're gonna hire the talent? And I think that's that one.
We'll
It does
talk
not.
about all of that. We'll get to all that. That's
Perfect.
still about
Perfect.
virtual assistant, okay? And then where are we going next? Go figure. So now with that, we're going to start right with that very first question, which is, how do you know when to hire? When you aren't getting shit done. When you're not being consistent on social media, when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're working sun up to sundown, when your family is missing you because you can't get enough down, when you have thousands of emails to answer that you're not getting to, when you're overworked, overwhelmed, and just not growing, because you can only do so much. So if you're not being consistent, if you're not enjoying your family because you're working so much, so hard, if you're not being present on social media, because if you're not online, you really don't have a business these days. You need to be online. Also, you do what you do best, delegate the rest. If you have gotten to the point to where you have a task list that's this long and you do like this because you don't like this much of your task list, then you need to find somebody else to do it. Okay? Any other questions on that? You must have a clear vision or mission. You don't have to have vision and mission, but you need to know what's happening with your organization. That's your first step. You have to know what your culture is going to be. Okay? We're going to go to that. Benefits of working with a virtual assistant. You don't have a physical office space to worry about. Their experience saves time and money. And let me explain to you how you can save time and money. When you're in a physical office, there's something called a water cooler. People huddle around and they chit chat, and they don't always get to the job they're supposed to do. When they are virtual, they're usually either working in some type of center, or they're going to be, and if that's the case, then you got the water cooler, or they're going to be working from their home. So they're going to be a lot more efficient as long as you monitor them, and as long as they know that they're not working in a vacuum. We'll talk about that too. They can increase your customer response time. We talked about that. You got thousands of emails, you're not getting to them. You're not posting on social media, you're not replying to your DMs. You just aren't getting back to the customers and giving your customer that experience that they need to have. If you are in the United States, I don't know about maybe the UK, Australia, and some of these other countries, but they're all different. I can only speak for the United States. If you're in the United States of America and you hire offshore, meaning Philippines, Malaysia, India, Kenya, those types of places, Dubai, you do not have to pay employment taxes or what we have in America, Social Security taxes. So you save a ton on taxes. Also, you have peace of mind when you have a virtual assistant. They're virtual. I'm a digital nomad. I travel all the time. I might be in the mountains one day, might be on the beach the next, and sometimes the same day. There's times when I do not have internet. I do not have to worry about that because my virtual assistants are highly trained and they are able to take over anything. I don't even do customer discovery calls anymore. They handle all of my sales calls now. What can a virtual assistant do? A virtual assistant can do everything but bring you a cup of coffee, basically. They can do your social media management. They can handle your customer service. They can take inbound, outbound calls, data entry. Research is huge. They can do a lot of research for you, build landing pages, build websites, bookkeeping, video editing. You name it, virtual assistants can do it, just like they're right in your office. And if you set up a Zoom room with them, they are there at your fingertips. Now, when you're hiring a virtual assistant, there's some things you really don't miss. If there's different ways to find a virtual assistant, okay? They have websites such as Upwork. They have websites, Facebook groups where virtual assistants are looking for jobs. They have, I believe they have a guru, I'm not sure, but they have all these different online platforms basically where you can find a virtual assistant. You can also find a virtual assistant through an agency such as mine. There's all different places and ways to find a virtual assistant. If you're doing, I'm going to speak specifically right now if you're working on your own. You're going to go out there and try to find a virtual assistant on your own, okay? First thing when you're looking for, don't rush into it. You need to set your budget and understand that that virtual assistant is probably not going to be working your time zone. Especially if you're going to someone that's outside of your country. They're probably on a different time zone. So you're going to have to figure out how you're going to maneuver around working with them. Are you going to use email, WhatsApp, Signal, Telegram? However, how are you going to communicate with your virtual assistant? You also want to make sure you and your VA are on the same page. This is called managing expectations. They need to know what it is that you need them. For instance, at Avalon Virtual Assistants, you start at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, if that's where your client is. We've got clients all over the world, so we have VAs starting all different times. Our VAs work the time zone of our clients, whatever that is. But if you're supposed to be there at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, guess what? That's not 8:01, 8:10, 8:15 after I get my computer started. No, you're working at 8 o'clock. By golly, you're at home working. There ain't no reason why you can't have the computer up. Do you see what I'm saying? So you got to manage those expectations. You also know if you want a virtual assistant, you can actually advertise yourself on different boards to try to find you a virtual assistant. So those are some of the places that you can go to find a virtual assistant and what you want to look at when you are looking at a virtual assistant. And I'm going to go and talk a little bit about agency as we go along. You really want to make sure you sort out these applications. You really want to take a good look at the application. You have got to look at reviews. You have got to look at reviews on a virtual assistant or an agency. Because keep in mind, it's not like they're around the, down the hall from you. You've got to be able to figure out if they are who they say they are. You've got to have a process for that. You got to have a process for instance, we don't hire virtual assistants. One of those live things. We actually look at, we look at their computer specifications and who their internet provider is. If they have, or their area, and if it's a weak provider or the computer's not up to par, we don't hire them. So you have to be really careful with that. And then when you're scheduling your interviews, you want to make sure that you don't confuse time zones. Be very clear on when that interview is going to be. Make sure that when you're interviewing, they are on the device that they're going to be using. Do not do cell phone interviews. If they're on a cell phone, tell them to come back when they have a computer. You want to see their working space. You don't like, if they blur out their background, that's okay. The point is you want to see what they look like on camera when they're working. I take all of my virtual assistants to meetings. Every single one of them go to meetings with me. Most of our clients take virtual assistants to meetings with them. So it's important that you've got a clear view of them and know where they're working. If they're working in their kitchen, not a good thing, unless they're single. They're going to have people running in and out and through the kitchen. They're going to be distracted. So it's important that when you interview, they are in their workspace. Next thing, give them a small task. Give them something little like, I want you to create a Facebook banner for me. Say how they do. Start small, and then you can start giving them more and more responsibility. Again, I'm talking if you're doing this on your own. How are you going to pay them? You got to figure that out. Are you going to use PayPal, which is extremely expensive? I'm going to give you one, Wise Transfer. Write it down. WISE transfer. You can pay them in your currency, and it transfers it into their currency. And it's the least expensive way to pay. PayPal is extremely expensive. Then you got to determine who's paying the transfer fee. At Avalon, we pay the transfer fee. If you want to go through PayPal, you're paying the transfer fee. But everybody loves Wise, right? You want it, the test job goes back with beginning small. That kind of goes back to that. Delegating. This is really important, and this is where people really mess up, because you don't want to give away your baby. It's your business. You've worked hard to get it. You've worked very, very hard. So we're going to talk about delegating. We talked about this before. Clearly outline your goals. What is the goal of your organization? What is the goal of having a virtual assistant? One goal should not be the virtual assistant pays for themselves. It's a different type of investment with human capital. You're not going to get a virtual, well, I refrain, and not that. Your virtual assistant will take about 2 to 3 weeks to even get to know you and get to know your style. It's going to take a little bit of time. You're paying a virtual assistant for a month or two, and you're like, oh, I haven't had any clients yet. Okay, but it's kind of a long game. Are you now becoming more present on social media? Are you getting more engagement? Are you becoming more visible, which makes you more credible, which makes you more profitable? These things kind of take time. So when you're considering the investment of human capital, you have to look at the bigger picture. Not, I had a virtual assistant for 2 months and I didn't get a client. No, your virtual assistant should be representing your brand to get you out there so that the new clients will begin to come in. Does that make sense? Next thing, determine what you'd like to outsource. Content, blogs. Do you need someone to edit? Do you need someone to manage your calendar? What do you want them to do? You should have these things written down before you even start looking for a VA. You start with what you don't like to do. I'm telling you right now, start with what you don't like to do. And then you start with what you aren't getting done. That's a good place to start on what you want a VA to do. Specifics, tell them what the results and goals are. I had a VA, he's a marketing manager. Bless his heart, he fell down the stairs and hurt his back. He can't work now. And I said, look, I want to increase my Facebook following. In less than a month, he got me 100 new followers on Facebook. That was a goal. I didn't tell him 100. I just said increase. And I'm pretty happy with 100 new followers on Facebook. I mean, maybe you want 500, whatever. Set the goal. Prepare notes and backup procedures. Again, procedures, standard operating procedures. Give them tools. And in fact, you can have your virtual assistant create these tools and standards for you. Most of our virtual assistants are elite, and most virtual assistants that you hire, if you do what I say you're going to do, are going to be top talent, and they're going to understand how to create procedures for you. I think I had this twice. That's okay. And that is, I want to show you a nice video. One of the things I want to tell you about also when it comes to virtual assistancy, I want to talk to you about agency. I'm going to stop sharing just temporarily. When you are working with an agency, such as Avalon Virtual Assistant, you have a full team behind you. Avalon Virtual Assistants only hires top talent. You have to have a college degree. You also must have had a virtual assistant that I said fell and he hurt his back. He can't work. He's out for 3 weeks. So far, he doesn't know when he can come back or if he can come back. If you are not working with an agency and you're out on your own, you are stuck. You are dead. There's nothing you can do. You're dead in the water. With working with an agency such as Avalon, we have project managers and a human resource department that is paying attention to your, what we call campaign. We're paying attention. We're watching the conversations. We're tracking what's happening. We're learning your style so that if your virtual assistant leaves, quit, something happens, we can get a new virtual assistant for you fairly quickly without having much of a gap. Also, there are times when you're out there on your own, your virtual assistant literally just ghosts you. What are you gonna do? I had a client that came to us because she had a virtual assistant for a full year. And now I couldn't get a hold of her virtual assistant. What happened? 3 months in the summer, her prime time. She didn't post because she didn't get around to it. She was too busy with clients, whatever her case was, she lost business. So there are some advantages. Working with an agency is going to be a little more expensive for you, but then you're gonna get what you pay for. You can find a virtual assistant for $3 to, I don't know, $6 an hour. If you go direct, you really can. And that's okay, but you have to understand, you're not gonna have that support. It's gonna be you. Something happens, you are on your own. Any guidelines when hiring VAs, part-time or full-time, monthly ideal? At Avalon, we hire our virtual assistants are guaranteed work. We pretty much guarantee them full-time, part-time. We find clients for them. That is how we're able to maintain really good virtual assistants. So if you're gonna go out there on your own, I would suggest that you have at least 20 hours a week for that virtual assistant, or 40 hours, or anywhere from 20 to 40 hours a week for that VA to work. Because if you really want someone for long term, you're gonna wanna give them good work. Because if not, you've got a freelancer that's working for other businesses. And that's another thing. How do you know that that virtual assistant is working on your job? We have a back-end system that takes screenshots randomly. It also gives us key performance indicators. We had a virtual assistant, no joke, just happened this week. I'm rolling my eyes because I can't believe it. The best hiring practices, sometimes you're just gonna find somebody that's just gonna try to beat the system. They just are. Her production was off the chain. I mean, it was like 100%, 99%. Our back-end monitors keystrokes and mouse movement. There is no way to have 100%. No way you could do that. 100%, no way. So because we were able to take screenshots, and it took us 3 days to catch her, 3 days. Imagine if you're on your own, how long would it take you to figure out that somebody's working for somebody else or doing something different? Now, 3 days may seem a lot for you, but it's better than a week or two, or somebody's using up your money to work for another project. That happens when you're freelancing. We caught her. She is no longer with the company. The customer is happy as can be because we caught it. We were able to tell the client, hey, this is what's going on. We're going to give you those 3 days of hours back. We're going to let you have those hours back so you don't lose any money. And we've got another VA ready to start for you today, but we think it would probably be better that she starts on Monday. Do you see the difference? What if you were by yourself? How would that have turned out? How do you structure your fees? I think I answered that. For us, we pay it's either every 2 weeks or it's monthly, and we do require prepayment. We've been burned. VAs have done the work and then the client split on us. Level of profession based on hours involved or level. Yeah, we do. We're hourly. We do not take project work unless it's a larger project. Again, that's how we maintain our VAs. They know that they have a company that they can depend on. Our clients know that they can depend on. When you start giving a bunch of project work, sometimes Fiverr is better. I'm saying if you just need somebody to pop up a banner for you or something really small, you might want to look at Fiverr, and that's Fiverr.com, because usually if you're going to get a freelancer, one, you don't, I've seen some horror stories where you've paid and you've not gotten anything delivered. Let's see what else. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes they're not as good as they look on their CV, just like the one we just had to let go of. Exactly. Go ahead, Peter.
Yes, absolutely. So what I was trying to find out, and this is, like we're just trying to make sure that, everything is clear. So now that we know how to look for this VA and we know what to give to them as a work from our work, is any, like I would say, challenges that you encounter inside of, let's say, the productivity as a, like, hourly spent, because you see them, you're going to see the print screens, you're going to see what they're doing to any given time, but I can do the same work in 5 minutes or I can do it in 1 hour. And if it's any tip or things that you learn from your experience that you can ensure that they are productive, and are you the project manager that you're gonna make sure that they're gonna do it, or they are self-administrated on that side?
Yeah, so we've been at this a while, so we kind of know how long something should take, and that happens. Sometimes, you'll get a virtual assistant that, especially when it comes to designing landing pages. We do a lot of video editing. We do a lot of landing pages. Our social media is in podcast editing. That's kind of our strong suite, along with general virtual. All of our virtual assistants have to be able to do general work, like manage your calendar, your emails. But we also require them all to have more accelerated skills. So what we find sometimes is that there are some, especially with video editing, some virtual assistants can edit a lot more quicker than others, because depending on the internet speed, how long it takes to render that video so that it will appear to be really nice. So that you find varying speeds there. Important thing is when that happens, they should be doing something else. They're not waiting, watching something to download or upload. As far as being able to judge how long something takes, that's one of those things you really can't answer, because how elaborate do you want your page to be? How elaborate how many edits has to come out of a video? But that's hard. But what you can do is say, look, I would like you to do this landing page. Here are the parameters that I want on this landing page. How long do you think it's going to take you to do it? And by asking them how long it generally takes them to do it, if they're way outside of that scope, and you got to check back. Hey, how's that banner going? How's that editing going? You have to check back, and you have to make sure that they're showing you what they're doing, if they can. We've had VAs that take paper notes, and so now we're not picking up the mouse, and we make them show them their notes. We're like, no, you got to take notes on the computer. We need to see what you're doing. We need to be able to follow up with what you're doing. So as far as the time, it's going to really depend on the client, on the VA, what you want them to do, and ask them up front, how long do you think this is going to take? Did that answer? That's probably clear as mud.
So yes, he did. And we have I have like a few more. Let me make sure that nobody else. Okay. I have a question here. Would you recommend Canva for virtual assistants doing the virtual editing or other graphic task? Would you recommend Canva for a virtual assistant?
Yeah, so our virtual assistant, yes, Canva. We do a lot in Canva. When it comes to video editing, it depends on the how much video editing needs to be done. But everything we do. This was my background was done in Canva. We use Canva for about everything,
Yeah,
but we use Canva Pro, and we're an affiliate, by the way. So if you want Canva Pro, let me know. We use Canva Pro. There is a free version.
perfect. And I have two questions that I'm trying to kind of answer. One of them it is, I know that especially in Philippines, there's a lot of challenges with electricity and a lot of time that they're like losing their electricity. That means internet, everything that they have. And it's any tip or any way that you go around this one, considering that sometimes you're relying on them and then disappear for 1 or 2 days because well they have an electricity.
Yeah,
And
there is no disappearing for 1 or 2 days. They need to have data on their phones to where they can get a hold of you. Also, in the field, yes, they lose electricity, and when you're working in the third world nations, that does happen, and that happens with us every once in a while. However, with the agency, the project manager steps in and says, "Do you have anything that's an emergency? Do you have something?" And so we step in and we make sure whatever needs to happen happens if that virtual assistant loses power. However, one of the ways that we reduce that is, again, we're looking for computer specifications and where you live. There's certain areas where the internet provider isn't very good. And if the internet, and then that's another reason, we turn applicants down for that. But there are times when it happens. So now you got to just say they need to work on their phones, make sure that they have data. Our virtual assistants are required to have data. Now, we don't make them do a lot on their phones because if they don't have electricity, we definitely don't want them using up their phone battery. We make sure they have a power back. You got to have a power bank. So those are some of the things that we do to mitigate that. But with working with Avalon, you have a project manager that will step in and say, okay, you've got to get this project out, because we use Slack for communication. And because we use Slack, we're able to see what's happening with that particular client.
sounds good. And last question that I personally have it. Let's see if somebody has um, some other question. Let me make sure. And I was just wondering, like from the point of view of hiring a VA, and you mentioned a lot of procedures that you do of hiring them. Is there anything specifically that I will say you're looking to achieve as a mindset? Because there's a lot of VAs that they have very good, I would say, backgrounds and they pass everything up, but their mindset it's a way below. And I'm telling from my own experience that we had this situation when I mean her skills was just phenomenal, but on the other side it was a struggle to make her understand that she needs to learn more wherever else. And
Yeah, so that's really important when you're looking at teams. For us at Avalon, we don't just match experience. We also are looking for energy. Yeah, we're an elite virtual assistant company. You have to have a certain, I'm a master hypnotherapist, NLP, Dr. Joe Dispenza advanced student. So mine, neuroplasticity in the mind is huge for me. It's a big thing for me. And we want to make sure that we match energy, which is, and the mindset, and not just the skill set. And that when you're working with someone, you really have to, if you're not working through an agency and you're on your own, you just have to get that feeling. I don't know what to tell you about that. But for us, we do match energy. We match the client with, do we miss it? Yeah, not too often, but yeah, there's been times when we missed it. But again, we're able to step up and say, hey, I think we've got a better choice for you.
and from the point of view of your clients, do you have like a specific clients that like the like considering those six people that you hire, do you have any specific or limitation about helping your clients, like as a what are the things that it's going to be in your on Avalon, yeah, virtual assistant, what is going to be there that you can help them with, and what are the things that you're not there yet? So if somebody wants to, let's say tomorrow, to hire you and they want you to do, for instance, cold calling are you going to do for them? Is that
Yeah, no,
something?
we do not do cold calling. We are very good at staying in our lane at Avalon. When I say we don't do projects, we don't do projects. We do not do cold calling. We're not a call center. We are a customer service. Whereas if you have people calling you, we will be more than happy. All of our virtual assistants have to be really good with English. We source from the Philippines primarily because they learn American English. They are taught English very, very early, but we don't do cold calling. We will do customer service in that if you do a voice over internet protocol, such as Skype or Vonage or whatever you are in the world, then your VA can call out to your clients. For instance, we had a person that did, she was a financial advisor. And there were times when people just would not fill out the application right. So the virtual assistant would call, ask for and get the information. We work with several employment agencies, and the virtual assistant will go and call that customer service, or if they have a question, the VA will answer that question. And then the things that Avalon's really strong on is customer service, data research, also social media management and growth, and video editing, email in general, what we call general, like email management, calendar management, that type of thing. Creating standard operation procedures. Our virtual assistants are more like project operations managers. They're more operation managers than just plain virtual admin assistants.
Sounds good. And we have another question. How do you handle yeah. Yeah, you see it.
How do you handle paying bonuses to your VAs and other cultural norms like 13th month in the Philippines? Because we do, our contracts are either 2-week contracts or 4-week contracts. So it doesn't matter, which is great because some of our months have 5 weeks in them, right? So if it's a monthly client that pays monthly, then we let that client know April has 5 weeks. So your invoice is going to be a little higher. But other than that, that's how we do it. We either every 2 weeks or every 4 weeks. And if it's a longer month, then we will go ahead and just let the client know that that's going to be a longer month. As far as paying bonuses, we're a little different with bonuses. I just give them, like, we just started a new project. And my virtual assistant has worked her tail off, my personal VA, on this project. She's worked really hard. I just like, look, you worked really hard. She got $100 USD bonus coming on her check next week. That's how I do it. I just reward my VAs as I don't know if this is a good way to do it, but kind of as I see fit when they're doing well. That's why I let them off early on Fridays with pay. That's why when we had a big event, Magnify Your Magnificence Growth Conference with Les Brown, John Lee, a bunch of Forbes Riley, a bunch of big names were at that growth conference, and they worked overtime, they worked weekends, even though I told them they didn't have to, but they did. Every one of my virtual assistants that worked on that project got bonuses.
Wonderful, wonderful.
So that's how I handle bonuses.
Yeah.
I do, right before, if I could share one more time, I want to share one thing with you. I want to just share something with you that I was asked.
Sure, definitely.
Ask me how I am, and I'm just going to switch screens here and share this. Any more questions before I do this last share?
I don't see any other question. I don't see any other questions. I think that was all. So you can share the screen.
Good thing you had me come early. We're a little over time here.
Well, it's always good to be prepared, no?
That's right.
That's what we're doing here. We're getting prepared mentally. Do you manage to get it?
Yeah, I'm here. I thought you were. I thought I was waiting on you. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm
So
ready. We're ready.
one of my products is Motivation Highway, and I want to share with you a question that I asked. This is Motivation Highway on YouTube with Victoria Finch. Please subscribe. But I want to share this video with you. My team did this video. Oh, wait a minute. I got to share sound. This is one of the all of these videos my team did and edited every single one of these videos. I'm only sharing one though. Thank you for that. And thank you. Imagine, you got your Apple card. Thank you for having me. If I can go on along.
Absolutely, and thank you very much, Victoria, for all the knowledge that you share with us. And I think yes, we cannot give up, and no matter what is going to be the challenge that we have, it's always going to be a challenge. But that's, I think, the fun part of being an entrepreneur, having challenges that is going to challenge your mind, challenge your belief system, and it's going to challenge you as a human being for to go to the next level. And no matter how hard it is, as long as we have our goals, our mission behind us, and a support group to say like that, it's always going to be like to know that you can win it no matter how hard it is. So um, but yes, I believe that please feel free to post in the chat how people they can take action right now and go and follow you on maybe Instagram or any of your social media. So in that way, if somebody wants to connect with you and get more information about Avalon or about Victoria Finch International or any other way that they can work with you to be able to do so. And
just go to meetvictoriafinch.com. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel. You can also find out information, hire a virtual assistant. I'm doing some things with Les Brown, Masterclass. You can just find anything you need at meetvictoriafinch.com.
so meet Victoria Finch, not ask Victoria Finch.
This one is meetvictoriafinch.com. That's right.
Okay.
But you can always find me at Just Ask Victoria as well.
I'm so used to it that it's like it's a little bit off of my I was looking for that ask Victoria, but now it's meet Victoria Finch. So please my apologies, meet Victoria Finch.
No. You can go to the meetvictoriafinch.com. It takes you to all of the Just Ask Victoriafinch.com plus everything else I'm doing.
Okay, so meetvictoriafinch.com. Let me post it right now in the chat and making sure that everybody knows how to get a hold of you. And okay, let me see here, everyone. Meet. Okay, I'm always slow. Vic, Victoria Finch. Okay, so meet victoriafinch.com. Perfect.
Thank you so much for having me.
I was making sure that I did not, spell it wrong. But look, also Tabitha, I managed to post it. So please feel free to follow Victoria. She's an amazing. We always love to have her, and we always love to, especially if she's on Clubhouse. We know that our day is gonna be brighter if we're gonna have Victoria there. So we appreciate you, and thank you very much. Feel free to stay here to see what other people they have in their mind. If you don't have something that you have to attend, but
Thank
thank
you
you very
very
much
much.
one more time, and looking forward to hear more from you.
If
Thank you.
anyone wants these slides, they're more than welcome to have them. If you go to meetvictoriafinch.com, just send me an email. I'll get you the slides.
Perfect. Appreciate. Thank you.